Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. We love diving into complex topics, and today is no exception. We're going to unpack the hidden language of the internet, HTTP and HTTPS. Now, you're probably using these every day without even realizing it. Think about every time you type in a website address and hit enter, there's a whole symphony of activity happening behind the scenes to bring that page to your screen.
Right, you are. It all begins with HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is the bedrock of communication on the web. It's how your browser actually chats with the website server to get the information it needs to display that page you're looking for.
So it's kind of like a conversation happening behind the scenes. What's being said in this digital conversation?
Exactly. It's a very structured back and forth exchange of requests and responses. So let's take a simple example. Let's say you want to visit example.com.
Okay, makes sense.
So your browser is going to send an HTTP request to the server that's hosting that site. It's basically saying, hey, can I see the homepage?
And then what does the server do?
Well, the server responds with all the ingredients that make up that web page. It sends back the HTML code, the images, the text, any videos, everything. And your browser then takes all that information and renders it into that nice, fully formed web page you see.
That's so cool. It all happens so seamlessly, we never even think about it.
Right. But here's the thing. This basic conversation is happening in plain text.
Plain text.
Yeah, meaning anyone who's eavesdropping could potentially see exactly what's being transmitted.
Oh, that sounds a bit risky, especially if you're sending sensitive information like credit card details or passwords.
That's exactly where HTTPS comes in. The S stands for secure. It adds this layer of encryption to the conversation, making it unintelligible to anyone trying to snoop around.
Encryption. Okay, so it's
Yeah.
like scrambling the message, right? But how does that actually work?
Imagine writing a message in a secret code that only the intended recipient can decipher. That's essentially what encryption does. It transforms your data into an unreadable format during transmission. HTTPS uses a protocol called TLS, or Transport Layer Security, to create this secure connection.
So instead of plain text, the information being sent is all jumbled up and impossible to understand without the key to decode it.
You got it. And this key is unique to that specific communication between your browser and the website server. So even if someone manages to intercept the data, they won't be able to make sense of it.
This is making a lot more sense now. So how can I tell if a website is using this secure HTTPS connection?
There are a few key indicators. One is the URL itself. Instead of HTTP, you'll see HTTPS at the beginning of the address.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
Another visual cue is the padlock icon in the address bar of your browser.
Ah, the little padlock. I've seen that before, but never really knew what it meant.
That padlock is a signal that the website has an SSL/TLS certificate. It signifies that the website has gone through a process to verify its identity and set up encryption. These certificates are kind of like digital passports for websites. They ensure that you're actually communicating with the intended server and not a fraudulent one.
That's a relief to know. It sounds like this verification process is really crucial for protecting us from online fraud.
Absolutely. Without HTTPS and these certificates, it would be way easier for attackers to set up fake websites that look exactly like the real deal. Tricking you into handing over your sensitive information.
Oh, wow. Like those phishing scams I've heard about.
Exactly. Those phishing sites are often designed to steal your login credentials, credit card details, even your identity.
So basically, by using HTTPS, websites are putting up this barrier against these scams and protecting our data.
Precisely. HTTPS makes it significantly harder for attackers to steal your information or manipulate the data you send and receive. It's like a fundamental layer of security for the modern internet.
This has been so insightful. I'm starting to see how important that little S in HTTPS really is. But are there any downsides to using HTTPS? Does it slow down my browsing experience?
That's a common misconception. While it's true that encryption used to add a noticeable delay in the past with today's technology, the performance difference between HTTP and HTTPS is pretty negligible for most users.
That's good to know. I wouldn't want to have to sacrifice speed for security.
You don't have to. And in fact, a lot of search engines like Google actually prioritize websites using HTTPS in their search rankings.
Oh, wow. So there's actually an incentive for businesses to adopt HTTPS.
Yes.
It's not just about security, but also about visibility.
Exactly. It's really becoming the standard for a trustworthy online presence.
This is fascinating. I never realized how much was packed into that seemingly small ace.
It really speaks to how online security has evolved. And speaking of evolution, did you know that there are different levels of validation for those SSL/TLS certificates we talked about?
Different levels. I thought a padlock was a padlock. You either have security or you don't.
That's where it gets even more interesting. There are actually three main types of certificates: domain validation, organization validation, and extended validation.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the difference between these certificate types and why should I care?
Let's start with domain validation, or DV. This is the most basic type of certificate. It basically just verifies that the website owner controls the domain name. Think of it as a quick check to make sure the site isn't an imposter.
So it's like confirming the website's address is legit, but not necessarily checking their credentials.
Exactly. DV certificates provide that basic encryption, but they don't offer a lot of detailed information about the website owner. Now, if you step up to organization validation or OV certificates, things get a bit more rigorous.
Oh, so
OV certificates require the website owner to provide documentation to prove their organization's identity and legitimacy. They go beyond just verifying the domain name and actually look at the company behind the site.
Oh, so it's like checking their business license to make sure they're a real company.
That's a good analogy. OV certificates provide a higher level of trust because they confirm that the website is run by a legitimate organization. And finally, we have the heavy hitters, extended validation or EV certificates.
These sound serious. What makes them different?
EV certificates involve the most stringent vetting process. They require extensive documentation and verification, including confirming the organization's legal status, physical address, and other details. Think of it as a thorough background check for the website.
Wow, so these EV certificates are like the gold standard of online security.
Exactly. Websites with EV certificates actually display their organization's name prominently in the address bar, giving users that extra layer of assurance that they're dealing with a legitimate and trustworthy entity.
So to recap, these different levels of certificates provide varying degrees of assurance about the website's identity. It's not just about having HTTPS, it's also about the level of verification behind it.
Precisely. And understanding these nuances can help you make more informed decisions about which websites to trust with your sensitive information.
This is all starting to click for me now. I used to think online security was just a bunch of technical jargon, but now I'm starting to see the practical implications.
That's what the deep dive is all about. We're here to break down these complex topics and empower you with the knowledge to navigate the digital world safely.
This is great, but I still have one question. How do websites actually get these SSL TLS certificates? Is there a secret handshake or something?
Not quite a secret handshake, but it does involve a specific process. It starts with the website owner applying for a certificate from a trusted certificate authority, or CA.
Certificate authority.
Yeah. Think of these CAs as the gatekeepers of online trust.
So these CAs are the ones responsible for verifying the website's identity and issuing the certificates.
That's right. They play a crucial role in maintaining the security and integrity of the internet.
So what's involved in this verification process?
The specific requirements vary depending on the type of certificate, but generally the CA will check the website owner's control over the domain name, verify their organizational details, and ensure they meet certain security standards.
Sounds pretty thorough. And once a website has a certificate, is that it? Are they good to go forever?
Not quite. SSL TLS certificates have expiration dates, typically ranging from 1 to 2 years.
So they need to be renewed. Why is that?
Renewing certificates ensures that the website's security practices are up to date and that the certificate's cryptographic keys remain strong. It's a way to maintain a high level of security over time.
That makes sense. It's like a regular checkup for the website's security.
Exactly. It's a crucial part of the certificate lifecycle.
Okay, so we've learned about the different types of certificates, the verification process, and the importance of renewals. It's all starting to come together.
Great. It's all about understanding those layers of security that protect us online.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. I feel like I'm finally peeling back the curtain and seeing how this whole system works.
And the more you understand, the better equipped you are to navigate the internet safely and confidently.
I have to admit I'm a bit intimidated by all this technical stuff, but I'm also incredibly curious to learn more.
That's the spirit. Curiosity is key to staying safe online. And speaking of curiosity, have you ever wondered how this whole encryption thing actually works? What's the magic behind those scrambled messages?
Actually, yes. It sounds incredibly complex.
It might seem that way, but at its core, it's all based on some pretty clever math. The concept behind HTTPS encryption is called public key cryptography.
Public key cryptography. That sounds intense.
It might sound like something out of a spy movie, but it's surprisingly straightforward once you break it down. Imagine you have two keys: a public key, which you can give to anyone, and a private key, which you keep secret and safe.
Okay, I'm picturing two keys, one public, one private. What's next?
Now, let's say someone wants to send you a secure message. They would use your public key to encrypt the message, transforming it into that coded format that only someone with the matching private key can decipher.
So even if someone intercepts the encrypted message, they can't read it without my private key.
Exactly. It's like a lock and key system for digital information.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But how does this apply to websites and HTTPS?
When you visit a website using HTTPS, your browser receives the website's public key, which is contained within that SSL/TLS certificate.
So the certificate acts as a secure carrier for the public key.
Precisely. Your browser then uses this public key to encrypt any data you send to the website, like your login credentials or credit card information. Only the website with its corresponding private key can decrypt this data.
So it's a two-way street. My browser uses the website's public key to encrypt the data I send, and the website uses its private key to unlock it on their end.
Exactly. It's a brilliant system that ensures the confidentiality and integrity of your data as it travels across the internet.
This is incredible. It's like a digital handshake that establishes trust and security. I'm starting to see how much thought and complexity go into making the internet a safer place.
It's a continuous effort involving web developers, security experts, and organizations like certificate authorities working together to protect our online interactions.
I'm feeling a lot more informed about how this whole system works. It's amazing how much is happening behind the scenes to keep our online activity safe.
And the more you know about it, the better prepared you are to protect yourself from potential threats.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful dive into the world of HTTPS. I've learned so much already, and I can't wait to hear more.
There's always more to discover, and that's what makes online security such a fascinating field.
Okay, so I'm starting to feel a lot more confident about browsing securely on individual websites. But I've heard that even with HTTPS, there are still risks when using public Wi-Fi networks, like at coffee shops or airports. Is that true?
That's a really good point you bring up. Even with HTTPS protecting the data between your device and the website, there's still a potential weak link, and that's the network itself.
The network.
Yeah, on a public Wi-Fi network, your internet traffic is essentially traveling over this open pathway. Anyone else connected to that network could potentially snoop on your activity.
Really?
Yeah, even if they can't decrypt the HTTPS data, they can still see which websites you're visiting, what files you're downloading, and other potentially sensitive information.
That sounds a bit unnerving. It's like having a secure conversation in a crowded room.
Yeah.
Anyone can overhear who you're talking to, even if they don't know what you're saying.
Exactly. That's where a VPN or virtual private network can provide an additional layer of protection.
Okay, I've heard of VPNs, but I'm not entirely sure how they work. Could you break it down for me?
Sure. Think of a VPN as creating a private tunnel for your internet traffic. Instead of sending your data directly through the public Wi-Fi network, a VPN encrypts your traffic and routes it through a secure server that's operated by the VPN provider.
So it's like sending my data through a secret passageway that bypasses all the prying eyes on the public network.
That's a great way to put it. By using a VPN, even if someone is monitoring the Wi-Fi network, they won't be able to see your actual internet activity. They'll only see encrypted data going in and out of that VPN server.
That makes sense. So it's like adding another layer of encryption on top of HTTPS.
Precisely. It creates this double layer of protection, safeguarding your data both during transmission to the website and over the network itself.
Okay, this is starting to clear things up for me. I've always been a bit hesitant to use public Wi-Fi because of the security risks.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a VPN can really help mitigate those risks.
Absolutely. A well-chosen VPN can definitely provide peace of mind when you're connecting to public Wi-Fi, but it's really important to choose a reputable VPN provider that has a clear no-logs policy.
No-logs policy, what does that mean?
It means that the VPN provider doesn't keep records of your online activity. So even if they were compelled by law enforcement or hackers, they wouldn't have any data to hand over.
Well, that's crucial. I wouldn't want to use a VPN that's just tracking my every move.
You're absolutely right. It's essential to do your research and choose a VPN provider that really prioritizes user privacy.
So VPNs sound like a really valuable tool for enhancing online security. But are there any downsides to using them?
Like any technology, VPNs do have a few considerations. One is that they can sometimes slow down your internet connection.
Why is that?
Because your traffic is being routed through an additional server, it can add some latency, especially if the VPN server is located far away.
So it's a trade-off between security and speed.
In some cases, yes. However, reputable VPN providers have optimized their networks to minimize this impact, and many offer a wide range of server locations, so you can choose one that's geographically closer to you.
That makes sense. So it's about finding the right balance between security, speed, and a provider you can trust.
Exactly. You want a VPN that provides that robust security without compromising your browsing experience.
This has been incredibly helpful. I'm feeling much more informed about how VPNs fit into the whole online security puzzle.
I'm glad we could shed some light on this important aspect of protecting your online activity.
We've talked a lot about how to protect our data in transit, but what about the data that's already stored on our devices? How can we make sure that's protected from malware or other threats?
That's another crucial aspect of online security. And it's important to remember that even with HTTPS and VPNs, our devices themselves can be vulnerable to malware.
Malware. What exactly is that?
Malware is a broad term that encompasses any software that's designed to harm your device or steal your data. It can include viruses, worms, trojans, ransomware, and more.
Oh, wow, that sounds scary. How does malware usually get onto our devices?
Malware can sneak onto your device in various ways through malicious links or attachments in emails, downloads from untrusted websites, or even vulnerabilities in your software.
So it's like a digital intruder trying to break into our devices.
Exactly. And once malware gets in, it can cause all sorts of havoc, stealing your passwords, logging your keystrokes, or even encrypting your entire hard drive and demanding a ransom.
Okay, now I'm really starting to feel paranoid. Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves from these malware attacks?
Absolutely. There are several proactive steps you can take to safeguard your devices.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are your top tips?
First and foremost, install a reputable antivirus or anti-malware program on your devices. These programs are designed to detect and remove malware before it can do any damage.
So it's like having a digital security guard patrolling your device.
Precisely. They scan your files and internet traffic for any suspicious activity and alert you to potential threats.
That sounds reassuring. What else can we do?
Be cautious about the links you click and the attachments you open, especially those from unknown senders. Phishing emails are a common tactic used by attackers to spread malware.
Right, it's easy to get tricked into clicking on something that looks legitimate.
Always hover over links before clicking them to check the destination URL. And be wary of emails that seem too good to be true or create a sense of urgency.
So hover over links. Be wary of suspicious emails. Got it. Any other tips?
Keep your software up to date. Software updates often include security patches that fix vulnerabilities. Attackers are constantly finding new ways to exploit weaknesses in software, so staying up to date is crucial.
Those update notifications can be annoying, but it sounds like they're really important for our security.
They are. They're like reinforcing the walls of your digital fortress.
Okay, so antivirus software caution with links and updates.
Huh.
All good things to keep in mind. But what if we already suspect that our device might be infected with malware? What are the warning signs?
There are several red flags to watch out for. If your device suddenly starts running slower than usual, it could be a sign that malware is consuming system resources.
So if my computer's feeling sluggish, it might be time to run a malware scan.
It's definitely worth checking. Other signs include frequent browser crashes, unexpected pop-up ads, and changes to your browser settings without your consent.
Okay, so slow, performance crashes, pop-ups, and browser hijacking. All bad signs.
Exactly. If you notice any of these symptoms, it's important to take action immediately.
What should we do?
First, disconnect your device from the internet to prevent the malware from spreading. Then run a full system scan using your antivirus or anti-malware software.
It's like calling in the digital cleaners to disinfect our device.
That's a good analogy. A thorough scan can often detect and remove most types of malware.
And what if the antivirus can't remove it?
If the problem persists, you may need to seek professional help from a computer technician or IT specialist.
This was like calling in the malware SWAT team.
Precisely. They have the expertise and tools to deal with more complex malware infections.
This has been incredibly helpful. I feel much more prepared to recognize the signs of malware and take steps to protect my devices.
I'm glad we could equip you with the knowledge to stay safe in the digital world.
All this talk about online security threats can feel a bit overwhelming. It's easy to feel like we're constantly under attack.
It's true that the online threat landscape is constantly evolving, but it's important to remember that we're not powerless. By being proactive, informed, and vigilant about our online activity, we can significantly reduce our risk.
Okay, so it's about taking control of our online security and not letting fear paralyze us.
Exactly. Knowledge is power when it comes to cybersecurity. The more we understand about the threats and the tools available to us, the better prepared we are to defend ourselves.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of online security. I feel like I've gained a whole new level of understanding.
I'm glad we could empower you with these insights.
We've covered so much ground already, from the basics of HTTP and HTTPS to the added protection of VPNs and the ever-present threat of malware. It's really amazing how much complexity there is in the world of online security.
Yeah, it's a constantly evolving landscape with new challenges popping up all the time. But one of the most fascinating developments in recent years has been the rise of artificial intelligence, or AI, in the realm of cybersecurity.
AI, that sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
How is AI actually being used in cybersecurity?
Well, AI is playing kind of a dual role in the cybersecurity arena. It's being used by both attackers and defenders, which creates a sort of digital arms race.
So it's like a chess match with both sides using AI to outmaneuver each other.
That's a great analogy. Attackers are leveraging AI to automate their attacks, create more sophisticated malware, and even try to impersonate human behavior to bypass those traditional security measures.
That sounds pretty alarming. How can AI possibly impersonate human behavior?
Well, AI-powered bots can now mimic human interactions online. They can send phishing emails that sound incredibly convincing or engage in those social engineering tactics to trick people into revealing sensitive information.
So it's becoming harder to distinguish between real human interactions and those orchestrated by AI.
Precisely. That's why it's more important than ever to be vigilant and skeptical online. Don't blindly trust emails or messages, even if they appear to come from a trusted source.
Okay, so attackers are using AI to up their game. But how are defenders using AI to fight back?
Well, AI is proving to be an invaluable tool for cybersecurity professionals. AI-powered systems can actually analyze vast amounts of data in real time, identifying patterns and anomalies that might indicate an attack.
So it's like having an AI detective constantly monitoring the network for suspicious activity.
Exactly. These systems can detect malware, analyze network traffic, and even predict potential attacks before they happen.
Wow, that sounds incredible. It's like having a crystal ball for cybersecurity.
In a way, yes, AI is really helping security teams to be more proactive and efficient, allowing them to stay ahead of the curve in that ever-evolving threat landscape.
This is also fascinating. It's like we're witnessing a technological revolution in cybersecurity.
We are. AI is fundamentally changing the way we approach online security. It's both a challenge and an opportunity. And it's really exciting to see how this technology will continue to shape the future of cybersecurity.
Well, this deep dive has been truly eye-opening. I've gained a whole new appreciation for the complexity of online security and the constant efforts being made to protect us from those evolving threats.
It's been my pleasure sharing these insights with you. And remember, knowledge is power when it comes to cybersecurity. The more informed we are, the better equipped we are to navigate the digital world safely.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of HTTPS and the evolving role of AI in online security. I feel much more empowered to protect myself and my data online.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all of you watching, if you found this deep dive informative, be sure to subscribe to Topictrick on YouTube for more insightful videos that break down complex topics and empower you with knowledge.
We'd love to have you join our community of learners.
Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.